Welcome to the 10-minute Eating Slowly Toolkit. What we're going to do is eat a meal together and take 10 minutes. So you need to have your food in front of you and just follow along to the instructions in the video. It's best to have food that you need a knife and fork to eat. It's going to make the whole thing much easier. So before we start eating, I'm going to take 2 deep breaths. This will help to focus you and calm you. So we're going to breathe in for 6, hold for 4, and then breathe out for 6. So take your first breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Second breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the next thing we do just before we start eating is I want you to look at your food in front of you and divide it into 2. You can either do this mentally, or you might want to actually put the food onto 2 separate plates or dishes. I'll leave that up to you. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 5 minutes to eat each half. So if you find it difficult to eat slowly, it doesn't matter how fast you eat, as long as you do not start your second half until we are 5 minutes through. I've found that really helps me to take enough time eating. Okay, so we're going to start the timer now. Okay, so as you take your first mouthful, cut it up and bring it up to your mouth, I just want you to look at the timer and to count how long it takes you to chew this mouthful. Okay, don't worry about taking 20 chews or 30 chews, that never works for me. Just eat as you normally would and time yourself. Okay, and when you finish that, just put your knife and fork down and wait for the next instruction. So I want you to imagine that you are a robot and you have a switch on your back, and there's 2 settings to this switch. One is normal speed and the other is slow motion. Okay, at the moment it's normal speed, but I want you to imagine someone's come along and they've just flicked the switch to slow motion. So now you're going to be eating as if you are on really slow motion setting. So this includes how you handle your knife and fork, not just the chewing. So now very slowly pick up your knife and fork, cut up the food as slow as you possibly can. Bring it up to your mouth and start to chew it, but really slowly. Try and aim for roughly half the speed that you ate your first mouthful at. And when you finish, slowly cut up your next piece of food and repeat the slow motion of bringing it to your mouth and chewing very slowly. And just keep practicing this slow motion eating. You may want to put your knife and fork down while you're chewing. If you're finding this really tough, just put your knife and fork down and leave the room for a minute. It doesn't matter. The main thing, the most important thing, is to not start your second half of your meal until we have reached halfway, when the timer hand reaches the bottom of the clock face. Really slowly, slower than you thought you could eat. Really chew your food. Really taste it. How are you doing? I bet you're eating much slowly than you thought you could. Just keep going really, really slowly. And part one is going to end very soon, and just move on to part two to finish the rest of your meal.